Seiki, 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 Seiki. Chakure, chakure, chakure. In this video, we're going to be talking about and working through, with the help of energy work, with the help of energy healing, the topic of conflict and the fear of conflict. We're going to be using energy healing methods through time and space. So wherever you're watching, know that this distance session works just as well, just as strongly as if you were right here in front of me. We're going to use Reiki and my own just intuitive energy methods. And so just wherever you are in the world, set the intention to receive, to heal, and be open to however that may show up for you. I'm in Portugal right now, so I am filming in a space that is used as a studio for a friend of mine, Niaras, and it doesn't have any windows or any like movement of air or like air circulation, so I'm not going to be lighting Palo Santo or sage. I'm not going to be, using anything that is going to fill this space with either smoke or too much like intense smell. So it's going to be just me, my energy, and going to get into the video. So we're going to when we work with Reiki or any energy work, shadow work, magic, manifestation, you guys know that intention is key. Intention is most of the work. If you don't have clear intention, you are not going to go in a clear direction. So let's take a moment together where we set we focus our energy into what we are about to work on, what we're about to work with. If you do not have any issues with conflict, feel free to put and set your own intention, a different intention, and this session will work towards that for you personally. So this time I'm going to call on Reiki before we start talking. Usually I talk, and then I realized, whoa, it's halfway through the video and I haven't even done any Reiki. So I'm going to call in and draw some symbols and draw the Reiki energy in and ask that to flow while we work through the topic, because there's so much healing happening as well when we just speaking about it, and I am also just speaking whatever is I am taking that from the cosmos all over. So we're going to draw in Reiki. We're going to ask Reiki to contribute to to this video, to this distance session, to whomever watches it, whenever, wherever, how many times, whenever during the day, whether you have the sound on or not, whether you're looking with your eyes or just having it playing in the background while you sleep or while you're doing something else. We ask that the Reiki works strongly in any of these cases. And to whoever consents to it, and by watching this video and still be watching this video, you are giving your consent. So just know that. And yeah, so chokure, 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 chokure. Chokure, 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 chokure. Seiki, 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 seiki. Chokure, chokure, chokure. So, the fear of conflict. So, those of us, or those of you who have grown up in and are still having that around you, of course, codependent family dynamics, so dysfunction in any way, dysfunctional family dynamics, have very likely grown up with this fear. If your caregivers have been having a lot of conflict and that has resulted in feeling unsafe, feeling threatened in any way, if that happened on a regular basis for you, then you most likely have this fear of conflict. And how does that show up in our adult lives? It shows up like constantly walking on eggshells around anybody. It can be different, of course, depending on how your past is, how conflict was in your home. For some people, there was a lot of aggression, there was a lot of shouting, there was a lot of anger, and that resulted sometimes in physical violence, or resulted in one of the parents maybe storming out, not coming home for days. For some, there was conflict, but not a lot of aggression. There was maybe like disagreements, and you could just sense the energy as a kid, of course. Like, you could sense the tension and the hurt, and then it resulted maybe as, you know, parents not speaking to each other, not speaking to you for a while afterwards, or, you know, someone leaving, or at least your, you know, or your needs in some way not being met. And And like as I was saying, like this can result in us as adults super intensely every situation and every interaction, and looking for that possibility of a conflict, and it makes us avoid it before it's even a reality. I mean, often it is like that. If you are having a relationship with someone, it can be a friend, can be a colleague, family member, but usually it's like a new relationship that you form when you're an adult that we don't understand, like, why do I have difficulty with relationships that don't have anything to do with my past, but it always has something to do with it. So it's often that we have these new relationships, and we read intensely, and whenever you have to face something like a possible disagreement, or okay, we've been doing like that, I'm realizing that doesn't work for me, I need to set a boundary or something. Doesn't have to be a big deal, but for a person who has that background, it is a big deal, and it puts that person in a state of extreme anxiety, extreme freeze often, and just you avoid it like the fire to have this confrontation. That's the word I was looking for, confrontation, because in your world that means it's very likely that it results in conflict, and conflict is scary. Conflict means abandonment. Conflict means that I'm bad, or whatever whatever is in your psyche that you attach to that conflict, you just avoid like the fire. So what you might do instead is you walk on eggshells, you people please, to have no possible way that a conflict might happen. So I actually wrote some things down for this video, and I wrote down, when we carry this unresolved, unhealed traumas of conflict into adulthood, we get triggered just by the slightest possibility of conflict. So we avoid it as much as humanly possible. This is why people walk on eggshells and people please around a certain type of people, or around people they just met, their family members, or for some people, anyone. For them, the need to avoid the possible conflict is more important than any other emotional need. So for some people, this shows up as, yes, walking on eggshells, people pleasing a lot, to the extent of you realize that you're not living your life for you. You're not choosing for you. You're not asking you first. Like, what is it that I'd like to be, choose, have here? What is it that, what would I choose if I was choosing for me, if I was choosing for my own life? But you're always choosing to make sure, or you think, that makes everybody else comfortable, that keeps the peace, quote unquote. And it can also show up as like not answering phone calls from certain people, from numbers you don't know, avoiding tasks that have anything to do with you saying no, you taking too much space, and yeah, anything related to that. So now I'm going to let Reiki flow, and whatever is coming up for you, please allow it to come up. There is some of you are not allowing it to come to the surface, and because I know this is uncomfortable, it's, if you haven't been willing to look at this, it's it's uncomfortable to let it come to the surface, because yeah, it's like we have to acknowledge it and be like, ooh, okay, I haven't. It's a hard pill to swallow, to know that if we haven't been living for ourselves. And you can change all that. That's the thing. Like, the biggest thing is to acknowledge these things, and we have the power, as long as we're willing to look it in the eye, as long as we're willing to be honest about it. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to think about talking about this to anyone else. Be honest with yourself first about it, and be willing to be willing to acknowledge it. And because it doesn't matter what it is that you're acknowledging, because when you do, you have all the power to change anything about about your choices. You can choose different, but you can't start choosing differently if you're not willing to know or find out, or you're not willing to see what choices you're making already. Yeah. So allow it to come up to the surface. Allow Reiki to flow through your body, to do its work and work its magic. And trust the process. Be willing to let it come up. Be willing to be with it, because that's when a lot of resolution happens as well. We're willing to sit with it, to allow it to come up, and you don't have to identify with it. It's there. It's sensations. Like, it's probably, most of it is probably something you're just carrying from the generations from your parents, your grandparents, ancestors, your so many other people. So everything that you're carrying that isn't even relevant to your own trauma, will you return it all back to its owners, and revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and create all contracts, decisions, and responsibility and attachments to those things. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, buckle, nine shirts, boys, and beyonds, and all the ways that you have taken responsibility for other people's pain when it comes to this topic and anything else that is in your reality right now. Just be willing to let go of it. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, buckle, nine shirts, boys, and beyonds. Oaths, all the vows that you put in place to be the hero, to be, taking care of those people who couldn't work through, couldn't carry this trauma. It was very noble of you, but it also means that you don't have a lot of choices. You don't have as much freedom if you're carrying all this. So are you willing to let go of it? We can put it into the earth if that makes you feel better. Okay, are you willing to? Are you willing to? You can ask for the willingness if you don't have the willingness as well. Right, wrong, good, bad, buckle, nine shirts, boys, and beyonds. Okay, I'm going to let Reiki flow to you now. So just relax. Be with whatever is coming up. Be with all the sensations of what you might have labeled as feelings, emotions, and all the significance that you've put into these feelings, because that's often why we shut them off, shut them down, because we make it so dramatic. It's just sensations. What if we can just see it as sensations? Right, wrong, good, bad, buckle, nine shirts, boys, and beyonds. And know that you have the power to transmute all this. A sensation in your body does not have power over you. If you're not willing to sit with it, if you're not willing to be with it, then you are creating resistance, which makes it even more powerful, and then you buy into the lie that it has more power over you. So as long as we just look at it, take all the significance out of it, like, hey, it's just a sensation, it's often enough to, yes, exactly, it's dissipating for a lot of you. And that's my point. It's often enough just to have the willingness and the courage to sit with it, to look at it, be with it, and then it often just dissipates. Breaking free from this the cycle of functioning from a trauma response like this is so freeing. And what helped me a lot when I was working on this was to grasp the fact that you as a being, me as a being, a person in this body, on this earth, it's inevitable for us to not take space. Like, why would we come here if we were not going to interact with others, not going to take space, and not going to affect others in any way? Because the very big reason to why we are here is because of relationships, and for us to be still as one but still separated in a way because we have these physical bodies. So that is such an experiment for us, and that is such a change for us, but we still are energetically affecting everything and everyone around us. And isn't that freeing to just acknowledge that even if you're not saying anything, you're not doing anything, you being impacts everything in this world. And just you sitting, standing, laying, whatever you are doing in the room or outside, wherever you are impacting, you are filling everything around you with your energy. And that can translate into each and every single person's point of view to mean as, oh, you're impacting me in a good way, you're impacting me in a bad way, you're taking too much space, because in that person's world you might be not fitting into their points of view of what is comfortable. It doesn't have anything to do with you. So be big. Be you, and don't take responsibility. You don't have to take responsibility for how that fits into everyone else's reality. So everything not allowing you to acknowledge that and receive that, to know that, and to grasp it fully, will you destroy and uncreate at all times, a gazillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, but fuck, light, short stories, and beyonds. And this is the clearing statement from Access Consciousness. You can click the link below if you want to learn more about it. So we're gonna end this video very soon, and I'm just going to send some Reiki to you, do some last clearings, ground your energy, and let you be. So thank you so much for stopping by. If you are a returning subscriber, I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. If you have not subscribed yet, then please do. If you like these kinds of healing videos, and let me know. Let me know what it is that you are dealing with. If this resonated, if you are also going through triggers like this when and are realizing that the root is this fear of conflict. And if you let me know also, for those of you who have known about this for a long time, about yourselves, and if you have been working through it for some time now, or how it's going for you. Thank you again for watching. Appreciate every one of you. Let's let Reiki flow, and end this video then. also reminded just now to use violet flame. So I've been using, in the last minute or so, I've been invoking violet flame. If you're familiar with that super powerful healing fire, it's called the violet flame, and Saint Germain works with us to invoke that. Thank you again for watching.